Hi, hi everyone. Thanks for bearing with us. We're a few minutes after 12:30, and we will need to finish around 1 p.m. So I'm just going to do a quick sound check, and while I'm going through the next couple of slides, if you could just say yes, Nigel, hi, we can hear you. If you've been in an Uprise webinar before, just say yep, been in an Uprise webinar before. You can give us some quick feedback. If you've been in a webinar with me before, you can say a hello to me, and I'll say hello to you, and we can you can give me some feedback on whether or not you've enjoyed my webinars before. All right, so today, yes, we have some clear. Yes, it's loud and it's clear. Woohoo! All right, of course, you don't see the behind the scenes stuff that goes on. All right, so physical activity and mental health with me, Nigel Polak. I'd like to acknowledge the Gumbangere people as the traditional custodians of the lands in which I live, love, work, and play, and to pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here present here with us today. I've had guidance from some Aboriginal colleagues and friends around acknowledgement of country, and they've encouraged me and everyone else to actually make it a genuine acknowledgement of country. So that's kind of the standard script that you see. But the kind of the true acknowledgement of country is relevant to this webinar, because the true acknowledgement of country think about actually really think about the country that you're sitting on. Think about the land, think about the kind of topography, the hills, the mountains, the plains, the rivers, the creeks, the oceans, the kinds of soil that you have, the kinds of rock that you have, and what you can do is you can actually use your body to feel that country. And that's what an acknowledgement of country is really about. It's actually about feeling into the country where you find yourself right here, right now. And the reason it's relevant for us is because a lot of the physical activity that we do, as well as our mental sense of mental well-being, relates to the country that we're on. I like to ride my bike around the hills where I am. Where I used to live was really mountainous, so I had much bigger mountains to climb up. You might like to walk along the riverbank, or you might like to run around the streets or parks where you live. And so when you connect with that, that's when you're connecting with country, and it enables you to actually go, hey, thank you to the people who for tens of thousands of years have been taking care of this country. We call them the traditional custodians, because they traditionally have been looking after these lands for tens of thousands of years, long before anybody else got here. And it's that we're acknowledging. And we're also acknowledging that there are elders present and emerging, are also trying to take care of these lands, sometimes in spite of what the rest of us are doing. So I'm Nigel, psychological coach, psychotherapist, counsellor, supervisor, trainer, supervisor of psychotherapists and counsellors. So that's the background that I bring to these webinars. I do like a good chat. Some of my webinars are really chatty. This one, not so much. It is more of an information webinar. But what I encourage you to do is just to jump in like Alicia has. Hi, Alicia from Townsville. I'm on the north coast of New South Wales. Thanks, Katie, for picking up those points on the acknowledgement. So just as you have a thought, if it was just you and me talking, you'd want to sort of jump in and say something, pop it in the chat. It's a great, the chats are actually great to be able to have conversations without ever actually interrupting anybody. So that's great. We'll have a feedback form at the end, and you can, if you need to contact us, there's the email there or the phone number, and you can email to make an appointment. You can call to make an appointment with a counsellor. You can call to book in more webinars if you want private webinars for your company. You can call them. You can call up and organise something through them, or you can use the Uprise app, and you can do modules in the Uprise app, and you can also book appointments through the Uprise app. And so that's all encouraged. If any of the ideas or anything else that's brought up here inspires you. Okay, so the starting point. This is the beginning, and most people know this now, but it's amazing how in centuries of science and centuries of being human beings, this hasn't been self-evident. And interestingly, when you think about yourself at work, and in fact, when I did that acknowledgement of country, you would have become aware of it then. You're like, oh yeah, there's a man in the screen in the box, and he's talking about the traditional custodians of the land. Yeah, got it. And then when I start talking about feeling into country, you're like, oh yeah, oh, there's another layer there, and actually I can feel that in my body. So it's not always obvious, and particularly when we're working at a very cognitive level, when we are engaging with our colleagues at work, even when we're engaging with our friends and family. A lot of the time we're engaging at a very, very cognitive level, and we can forget. No, it's okay, David, we can't hear you. So the only person that anyone can hear is me. There's no need to press a mute button in Demio. So your brain and your body are connected, and I want you to get a sense of that. There's a lovely definition of mind that's come out of cognitive neuroscience. It says, mind is the organization and processing of the flow of energy and information, and that is done throughout the body. And this image shows, that your heart and your gut in particular have a great deal of neurons, not as many as the brain, but still there's a lot going on in your mind through your heart, through your gut, through your skin, through the rest of the body. All right, so here's a bit of a question for you. Throw out an answer. It's not, don't worry about getting the right answer, but think about your brain. What do you think the purpose of it is? If I was to ask you, hey, what's your brain for? What would you say? I'll give you a moment. Just chuck it out there. I've got a few suggestions on the left-hand side. What do you think? Keep your body going. Yeah, good one, Lauren. Solve problems. Dave controls your body. Survival. Question things. Yeah, rationalizing things. Drives the nervous system. Yeah, thanks, guys. It's sort of well, what does my brain do? It thinks. Other people say, oh, it's all, human beings are all about connection. Tammy's overthinks everything. It's about, it's about connection and relating to other people. It's about solving problems. Human beings are great at solving problems. Are we just creative beings? Do we create great art? What's our brain for? And some of you have sort of cottoned onto it, and it starts with this little critter here. These are things called sea squirts. I've forgotten the Latin name, but they are literally little organisms that attach to coral, and they squirt seawater, hence sea squirts. And you'll see them sort of pumping back and forth when they're under the water. And they all like to sort of collect together, and they do reproduce. They do reproduce that, which makes them an animal. They do reproduce, and when they're born, they have a brain. And when they're born free, and they mostly drift in the ocean currents, but they also wiggle their little bodies, and until they find a nice bit of coral to connect to, and then they latch onto that bit of coral, and to help them to really latch onto the bit of coral, the first thing they do is they digest their brain. Creepy, huh? They digest their brain because, and this is sort of, the inference from the research is that they digest their brain because they don't need it anymore. Because once they've attached to the rock, there's no need for movement. All they're doing is swaying with the ocean currents. They've got a very kind of rhythmic pulsing sensation that allows seawater to pass through them, that they collect nutrients from. So the other great example that's used in the literature for the purpose of the brain is our little local koala, because we have fossil records of ancient koalas from millions of years ago, and they were bigger. And it was pretty clear that they were, at that time, evolved to moving around on the ground, and to a great extent, they were foragers. And it's quite possible that with the arrival of the dingo and the dog, it wasn't safe in Australia on the ground anymore, and so they started to live permanently in the trees. Once they started living permanently in the trees, and they started to primarily eat certain kinds of gum leaves, they became much more sedentary. They stayed still for most of their lives, and their brains shrunk considerably, as evidenced by skull size. And so the insight is that the purpose of the brain is to control complex movement. So this connection between brain and body is far more significant than we've perhaps ever realized. When talking about the connection between the brain and the body, we always go to this really fundamental fight, flight, freeze response, which pretty much everybody has heard of because it's right up there at the top of general knowledge about pop psychology. But it is a fundamental concept in psychology. The sort of the more technical name is the polyvagal system, and it's important because there's a nerve that runs from the base of the spine. I'm sort of pointing to the base of my spine. I'm trying to turn my head, base of the spine, down through the spinal cord into the body, and that's known as the polyvagal nerve. And the polyvagal system is that brainstem with the nerve coming down into the body. So fight and flight refers to one half of the equation, which is called hyperarousal, and freeze refers to the other half of the equation, which is hypoarousal. And these are the two primary responses of any organism, to keep itself safe. One way that you can think about the brain is that you can think about it in terms of the first stage of multipedal animal evolution, which was the reptile, dinosaurs, lizards, etc. And they've got really basic brains. And essentially our body, our skeletal system matches their skeletal systems. If you go to a museum and you look at ancient fish, ancient dinosaurs, and you look at their skeletons, you go, God, that's remarkably like a human skeleton. It's not that far away, even though it was millions and millions of years ago, and they seem like remarkably different creatures. But we share that part of the brain with them. Essentially, all they had was that bottom part of our brain plus that polyvagal system. And what it does is that when it sees something that it wants to eat, it goes for it. When it sees something that's about to attack it, it runs away from it or it fights with it. That's hyperarousal. It's about fighting. It's about anger, aggression, frustration, rage when we translate it into human emotions. Or it's about flight, which when we translate into human emotions is about nervousness, anxiety, panic, and about finding somewhere to hide. The other thing that mammals in particular learn to do, but also you'll see this in reptiles and birds, is that if they perceive a threat and it's a bit further away, or if they perceive that there's no hiding place or there's no hope of winning a fight, they'll just freeze. Literally just go stock still. And you'll see birds do this. You'll see small prey mammals in particular do this. You'll even see large cats and other animals when something happens. The first thing they do is just go very, very still and wait and see what happens. As human beings, we tend to get stuck in that hyperarousal freeze state, and we tend to call it things like depression. We experience a dullness, a numbness. We can dissociate from our bodies. We can have a sense of actually not being in our bodies, particularly if this hyperarousal continues for too long. And we can experience a sense of disconnection, both from ourselves and from the world around us. In polyvagal theory and in modern day responses to trauma in particular, they use this model, and they call it the window of tolerance model. And it's about being able to keep ourselves out of hyperarousal and out of hypoarousal, and to keep ourselves in this zone, in this mid-zone, which they call the window of tolerance. We don't want to go into panic and anxiety and anger and agitation. We don't want to go into numbness and shut down and poor self-care, poor boundaries. We want to stay in this zone where we're a bit activated because it's motivating, but we're not overwhelmed by those feelings. And certainly if we do become overwhelmed, we're able to come out of it and come back into that optimal state of arousal. Okay, so how does physical activity connect back to those neurological and psychological concepts? This is a good starting point, because essentially what this webinar is going to become about is it's going to become about a motivational talk for getting people, for getting you guys off your seats, out from behind your screens, out of your locked down houses perhaps, and moving your bodies. In Time magazine, a lead psychiatrist was quoted as saying, if there were a drug that could do for human health everything that exercise can, it would likely be the most valuable pharmaceutical ever developed. It could be that the COVID vaccine has superseded that statement, but it's certainly, it's certainly an interesting idea that exercise is the most powerful drug we have, and it is. It's still the number one treatment for depression, number one treatment for anxiety, number one treatment for lethargy. If you want to change the way that you feel about your life, start moving your body. All right, so what are the physiological impacts on your body? Some of those are pretty obvious, but it's worth just ticking through them. What does physical activity do? It increases your blood flow. It replenishes oxygen and distributes oxygen throughout your body. It replenishes nutrients and distributes nutrients throughout your body. And it facilitates waste and toxin removal and discharge through your body, including through sweating. Sweating is a great way of getting rid of stuff that our body doesn't like. And in fact, there's some things that our body gets rid of that can't be gotten rid of through urinating or defecating. It's the only way to sort of process those toxins. So the next point is that movement of an increased blood flow increases your health, it increases your strength, and it increases the effectiveness of all of your major organs. Which major organs? Your skin, your muscles, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your kidneys, your pancreas, your liver, your intestines, your bowels, your bladder. Everything works better in a body that's exercising. Everything works better in a body that's exercising. So if you're not feeling good and you've been quite sedentary, you haven't been exercising, you can't be bothered, you've been feeling down, you've been feeling deflated, everything starts to work less efficiently. I got injured a few weeks ago. I used to be, I'm a very active person. The only kind of thing I could do to take care of myself was literally to stop exercising. And I'm just starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel lethargic. As I'm talking, I can feel a little tickle in my throat, and I'm just not feeling as though everything's functioning as well as I would like it to. And I'm really kind of, I'm actually sitting on a fence. Part of me is like, oh, it's quite nice just to sit around, and I've got more time, and it takes a bit of effort to go and exercise, and quite like just being a sedentary kind of being. But my body's going, yeah, but you don't feel good. And so this other part of me is like busting to get out and do some more exercise. All right, more benefits. And this is from long-term studies. It reduces cardiovascular disease. It reduces heart disease, lung disease, blood diseases. It reduces risks of bladder, breast, colon, endometrial, esophageal, kidney, stomach, and lung cancers. It regulates hormones, including estrogen. It lowers levels of insulin and reduces the incidences of diabetes. It reduces inflammation in the body. It improves your immune system functioning. So when you exercise, and you're actually your immune system stronger, and you're more resistant to different diseases and viruses. Your obesity, of course, goes down. It improves your gastrointestinal functioning. Like everything, your stomach, your bowels, your intestines all work better. Your bones are healthier, and you sleep better. I can't tell you the number of people I've been talking to over the last year and a half who have really struggled with sleep. That as their routines have been thrown out, as they've exercised less, they've stopped. They've really struggled with sleep, and then they feel tired all the time, and it creates this self-fulfilling cycle. Start exercising, suddenly sleep comes so much more easily. What about the known mental health benefits? So we know that exercise literally changes the brain. So, and it increases the kinds of chemicals that will grow the brain, and it increases the extent of those chemicals by over 30%. So people who exercise regularly end up having bigger brains. For some time in neuroscience, it was believed that all brains would always shrink. That you remember this idea that you've had a certain number of brain cells, and then slowly after about the age of 25 to 26, your brain slowly decreased in size and you couldn't grow anymore. No, exercise will grow your brain. Gives you a positive mood. Most people go, oh my gosh, exercise itself, painful, don't like it, but gee whiz, do I feel good afterwards. It gives you improved cognitive functioning, and improves your memory. I think it was South Korea, it was exercise became mandatory in primary school because they wanted to increase the intelligence of the population. And you know what? They probably haven't done a bad job. It enhances your problem-solving abilities. It increases your feelings of self-esteem and self-efficacy. When you get out there and exercise, you feel like you can do. It improves your spatial awareness. When you move your body, it gives you a better sense of where your body is in space. It increases your energy levels. You feel more alive. You feel more awake. You feel more motivated. You feel more energetic. And it also improves your emotional regulation. And it's almost as simple as that willingness to put your body into a state of physical discomfort through physical exercise, and to tolerate that, essentially to say to yourself, I'm doing this for a reason. Yeah, this is good for me. I like doing this. I'm going to feel good later, is essential for finding that window of tolerance. Because for us human beings, what happens is we get outside of our window of tolerance, and then we react to our own anxiety, we react to our own anger, and so we kind of keep ourselves out of our window of tolerance. When we exercise, we get better at tolerating discomfort, and so better at bringing ourselves back into that window of tolerance. So more long-term benefits of physical activity on mental health. It reduces depression, anxiety, nervous tension. As I said, #1 treatments for depression and anxiety, nervousness, stress in your body, go exercise. Positive mood, energy levels, self-efficacy, self-esteem, cognitive function, short-term and long-term memory. It increases your brain size. It demonstrably increases neuroplasticity and neurogenesis, improves your overall brain health, and it also Alzheimer's and dementia away. So if you don't want to start to fall apart mentally when you get older, or if you are getting older and you're trying to keep things like Alzheimer's and dementia away, physical activity should be at the top of your list. Often we go looking for pharmacology nowadays. We go to the doctor and say, hey, doctor, I'm feeling like this, or I'm feeling like that, or I'm scared of this, or I'm scared of that. Can you give me something for it? When actually the best treatment for most of these things is actually to get out there and do physical exercise. So what kind of exercise? How much exercise? And the short answer is that depends on what you are doing already. And so you always need to start slowly and build up. And that's where patience really comes into it. I'm aware of that at the moment. I've been off for a few weeks, and I know, and I've just had these conversations with some of my more medically minded friends of going, oh yeah, I've got to get back on the bike, and I want to jump back in the pool and swim, and want to go surfing, I want to do all these things. And they're like, yeah, just take it easy. And I have to remind myself, if I don't take it easy, I'll just be back where I started. I'll be injured again. I can't go and do what I was doing before I took time off. I need to start at a very low level and build up. The science says that this is kind of the optimum. Yeah, and you can do more than this, at least this much or more. So cardiovascular exercise, and we're going to break it up between cardiovascular and strength and resistance training, because they have different benefits. So cardiovascular exercise should be about 30 to 60 minutes a day. Remember back in the 70s and early 80s, we had Life Be In It, 30 minutes a day. That's actually really good advice. So it should be 30, 60 minutes, 3 to 4 times per week. Brisk walking is enough. So if you're just like, okay, get up in the morning, go for a walk around the block for 30 minutes, go for a walk along the park, through the park, go for a walk along the creek or the river, go for a walk along the beach, wherever you are. You can go up a mountain. That's great, because that, I used to walk up a hill, and geez, I'll be sweating at the top. So that's enough. A light stroll is nice, but it's not really enough to get the benefits that you might want for your mental health. Running, swimming, cycling, aerobics, dancing, anything that gets your heart pumping. And a good indication is if you're sweating, then you're probably doing enough. Different is strength and resistance training. And you only need to do this a couple of times a week for 30 minutes, and it has different positive benefits. In particular, to what we call interoception, or body awareness. That's where you become more aware of the sensations in your heart, in your gut, in your muscles, and even in your bones. So there's feelings, that sensations available to you all throughout your body. And this is what mindfulness and meditation does. Meditation and mindfulness will say, okay, well, sit still and go into these different parts of your body. But when you do weights, when you do yoga, when you do Pilates, calisthenics, gymnastics, when you do activities like rock climbing, it brings that same body awareness, which also starts to increase your emotional awareness and your ability to have self-control. So when you're actively using your brain to control your body, particularly slow, strong, very, very detailed movements, then that also increases your ability to control your emotions in different settings like social situations. Just keeping an eye on the time. Oh, we're getting there. So we're nearly there. Other things you can do: slow yoga, mindfulness-based, and meditations. Same thing, gives you that body awareness, gives you the ability to tolerate stress without shifting into hyper arousal. There's different breathing exercises, box breathing. I've got there 4-7-8 breathing, 7-11 breathing. The one that's in the Uprise app is 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 box breathing, which is kind of breathe in for 3, hold for 3, breathe out for 3, hold for 3, breathe in for 3. And what that does, and I can already feel it calming my nervous system that's racing to get the information across before we have to end this webinar today. And again, that brings awareness to your body, and it soothes your your autonomic nervous system. It soothes that polyvagal system. The other one that's really interesting that I've been trying over the last couple of years is cold showers. Really surprised me how useful this is, and what seems to be useful. And there's a guy called, you Google, a crazy looking wild, and he climbs Kilimanjaro in his boots and his shorts and nothing else, and takes groups up, and he exposes people to extreme cold. And they report really amazing physical benefits, but also psychological benefits. Wim Hof says that intentional discomfort is the ultimate cure. And so when you are having a hot shower and then you flick it suddenly to the cold shower, your body will be shocked. And essentially it will be shocked, and it will go into that fight-flight response. And if you can self-talk yourself and say to yourself, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, because you know what you want to do? You want to scream, you want to jump, you want to run. And if you say to yourself, don't do that, just stay in the cold shower, it's not going to hurt you. It's going to be okay. And you do that, and you build, 10 seconds is a start, then 30 seconds, then a minute, and eventually you'll be able to do 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll just be like having a shower. Some people just say, skip the hot shower altogether, end up going for the cold shower. But it really teaches your body to not react, which is so much of what occurs in mental health. Mental health is so much about us reacting to imagined threats. It's about our body reacting, and then our brain reacting to our body. Have a cold shower, your body reacts, your brain reacts. You say to yourself, you don't need to react. You don't need to react. You can just stand here. That's fine. And then that teaches your brain and your body how to do the same thing in response to difficult emotions. Okay. So again, beginning to exercise, just take it slowly. You have to build up. Take it easy. That slide says the same thing. We need to finish, so we'll leave it there. There's the key takeaways. There's some feedback. There's a feedback link in the chat. If you wanted to put any sort of quick comments now, that would be great. But hopefully this webinar has served its purpose, and you are thinking to yourself, yeah, I'd like to increase my exercise, or I'd actually like to get out there and do some, because I get that it's good for me. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Enjoy your week.